If your business is not growing, then join us for this live event because we're going to teach you the reason why your nursing business may not be growing. Here you go. Hold on. Hello, fellow nurse entrepreneurs. One of the things that I've always wanted to do was always wanted to help nurses work from anywhere, pretty much have that flexibility, pretty much have that freedom so that they could do whatever they wanted to do.
Joining VP Nursing was one of the best decisions that I could have ever made. If I was to have a regret, it would be that I didn't join sooner.
If they wanted to be with their children, if they wanted to be with their families, they can do exactly what they wanted to do.
Ola is the type of person, she's not going to let you stay the same. The way she levels up her clients in every area of their lives.
I could not have imagined being a nurse with my own business, being in this space with so many amazing people, with a coach that 1,000,000% cares about what my outcome is going to be.
And so here at VP Nursing, we teach nurses how to work from their computers anywhere around the world, making money, owning their own time, building profitable nurse coaching, consulting, and service-based businesses. And so now we're at the beach and we're working at the beach and we're having a great time. We're doing a brand photo shoot. It's an amazing time. So if you want to learn how to work from anywhere around the world, creating that flexibility, creating that freedom for yourself, but monetizing the knowledge that you already have, join us at VP Nursing Business Academy. Okay, so we're going to talk today about the reasons why your business may not be making money. And I want you to be very, very clear on this. It is super, it's one of the things that probably stopped me from the beginning. And I talked about this on Tuesday, but I'm going to reiterate this because it's super important. This is the hard truth, okay? Most nurses don't have a business. They have a hobby, right? And they treat it as a hobby. Like they treat it as something that maybe I can come back to, maybe I can do today, maybe I can do tomorrow. But without consistency and discipline, you won't have a business. And that is very, very true. So one of the things that I had to do, and I talk to people all the time because I have this doctoral degree, and this doctoral degree really didn't, to be honest, the doctoral degree really did not give me more money. It gave me, a few more cents an hour. And I, became a manager of a department. But the reality is that I wanted to be the director of nursing. And once I peeped the behind the curtains, I figured out that I didn't want to do that any longer. Okay. So this is the number one mistake that most people make, is that they're trying to help everyone, means that no one knows that you're helping them. Now, I want you to be very clear. And there's a book, and I forgot what the book's name is I forgot the author of the book, but the book's name is The One Thing, right? This is the one thing that you are doing to help people do whatever it is, whatever problem you're solving. You solve one good problem, you solve it for one good person, right? And I talked about this yesterday. Whenever you go into the hospital, if you go into labor and delivery, what you have to understand is you go into labor and delivery is for women who are pregnant. If you're menopausal or if you're a man, then you don't need to go in labor delivery. I mean, that's just what that is, right? If you're surgical, right, you have a surgical issue, then you're going to the surgical suite. But if you don't have a surgical issue, then that's where that's where the problem lies. So just think about it for a moment, right? Especially if you're a nurse. So you understand that the ER is the place that doesn't make the money. The ER doesn't make as much money because the ER is a hodgepodge of places that, that's just what it is, right? So you have to be clear on that. Now, this is the reason why you need to be at this conference, okay? Because we fix that problem. We help you with niching down. We help you, like, you're going to leave the conference and you're going to have, if you, get into the hot seat, you're going to have a clear offer, right? A clear offer, a clear niche, a clear whatever it is. We help you to drill down to the things that actually make you money. One of the things about me is that I've been a nurse for about over 30 years. I was on the cruise the other day, and this one young lady, she said to me, she had October 17th, and then she had 1990. And I said, you know what? I said, that's when I graduated from high school. And she said to me, so you have been graduated from high school for 35 years? I said, well, I mean, you didn't have to say it like that, right? And so anyway, so that's the deal. And what we were talking about one of the things that we have to be clear about is that I've been a nurse for a long time. And so I've seen where you can make money, where the pockets are that they're mostly concerned about, because I've been in the C-suite and understanding, like I've not like actually been a C-suite employee, but I have been at the C-suite and really, really understood exactly what makes money in healthcare, right? The problems that they care about, like readmissions, for example, is one of the problems that they care about because of the fact that it costs them money, right? So as long as it's something that can help the bottom line, then that's super, super important. Okay. Now, mistake number 2 is that you sell time, not solutions, right? So hourly coaching keeps you stuck. So some people do hourly coaching instead of selling a whole package, right? So you can sell a package for $5,000 to $15,000. So say, for instance, you are a health and wellness coach, for example, or you are, and even with the health and wellness coach, you can go into organizations and you can package it for $25,000, right? For an assessment. After you do the assessment, then you can do quarterly classes for them. Whatever that looks like, you can do that. So the 3 areas that you can make money in coaching is health, wealth, and relationships. And so if you're a relationship coach, you can do that as well. So you don't necessarily have to stay in healthcare. You can do some other things, right? Number 7, you fix the package. The package is the transformation, right? Coaches, CEOs, CEO nurses, they sell the transformation, not the hours, or not the package, or not the courses, or not those things. And that's where I used to fall. Now I was like, well, I have 5, levels of education here. I've got 5 modules here. They don't really care about the modules. What they care about is the outcome. You got to sell the outcome. When you sell the outcome, then it makes a difference, right? It makes a difference in how you sell. So you have to have the right language in order to be able to sell to the right audience, right? So this is another reason why you need to be at the conference. So the Millionaire Nurse Conference, Nurse CEO Conference is coming up February 20th through the 21st, 2026. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. We are offering 50% off at this point for the tickets. It's going to be an amazing conference. Like, when you go to nursing conferences and you are traumatized and you like, oh my God, I need to stick myself in the eye. Like, this is not going to be that type of conference. You're going to get CEUs, plus you're going to get the ability to go out there. Hey, how do you discover the outcome? I love that question, Corey. So the way the outcome is that you want to know exactly where you're trying to get your client, right? So I'll give you an example, right? I'm gonna give examples throughout here, because the reality is that, so say for instance, I go in and you have a problem with your readmissions. So the outcome is not that I'm going to help you build a community paramedic program to help you with that. I'm going to help with the outreach for the client. I'm going to decrease your readmission scores by a certain amount, right? That's how you have to think about that, right? You have to think about, well, what is the outcome that I'm trying to give them? So for example, nurse retention. So there's several ways in which you can help with nurse retention, right? So you can, give them wellness days, give them wellness spas, whatever, right? They don't care about that. What they care about is retaining their nurses. So that's a great question, Corey. I like that. So now it's not fear, it's not motivation, it's real offer that will help, that people will pay for. Now, content without an offer is posting, is not a business model. I just want to let you know that. All right. Because sometimes what happens is you don't have the actual model, and you need an actual model offer in order to be able to build your business from. Right. So what do you offer your clients? What is that thing that you need to give them in order for them to want to pay you money? Right. At the end of the day. So you have to understand that, because at the end of the day, like, for example, I'm just going to give you an example for me, because I'm kind of bougie, just a little bit. All right. So the deal is that what happens is if I have, let's say I have, 10 my hair needs to get done, right? So the reason why I go to my hairdresser is, number one, is because she gets me in and out. Yesterday I went and got my nails done. I think it was yesterday I went and got my nails done. I went and got my nails done, and when I got in there, the people who normally do my nails don't normally do my nails, and the guy took forever. And then he didn't know what he was doing. It was driving me crazy, and I was like, and like I wanted a little glitter on my nails, but I was like, no, I don't want anything else. I just want to get out of here, right? Because for me, time is important. And so I don't want to have a bunch of people. I don't want to have a bunch of people working on my nails. So I know from now on, I will go to the person who can deliver the outcome, because I'm not here for, a super experience. I'm here to get in and out, right? That's my biggest thing. Now, so say for instance, problem number one. So the nurse turnover crisis, for example. So replacing one nurse can cost $60,000 to $100,000. Okay. I want you to be very clear about that. It's crazy. Okay. So do you have to have validity proof for the results before launching? You don't. You should. Okay. Like, it should be something that you've already done so that you can have those outcomes. So for example, once I helped someone with getting to 6 figures, then that was when I was like, well, okay, well, we can do this. All right. And so then we helped someone else build their business. And so that proof of concept kept coming up. And once it kept coming up, then I was like, this is my niche. So yes, it should be something that you already know how to do and something that you have already done in order to be able to position yourself as a high ticket nurse. So that's a great question as well. You will learn how to position your nursing expertise as a solution that hospitals and organizations pay 10 to 50K for. So if one nurse, so let's say for example, 60 to 100K is how much it costs to replace one nurse. If you are replacing, and let me go back to replacing a nurse manager costs $150,000, right? So that's problem number 3. Problem number 4 is concierge home recovery, right? So what we do is we tie you in, because basically what happens is you have all these problems that you're solving. So if it costs you $60,000 to $100,000 to replace one nurse, and you have $100K package, because typically if you're going to lose one nurse, you're going to lose a lot of nurses, right? And so you want to make sure that you have that packaged up, and really helping them to understand what the value of what you bring to the table. And so it comes in those proposals. And one of the things that we have in VP nursing is that we have a proposal nurse, and it's an AI agent that helps you to determine what your proposal is and how to pitch it to organizations so it makes sense for them, and it decreases their bottom line so that you coming in makes sense for them, because it needs to save them money at the end of the day, right? It needs to save them money. It needs to save them time, right? And so you want to make sure that you are absolutely doing that, right? So let's talk about why this is the reason why the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference is super, super important. It's because we help you with your language. We help you to develop the language in order to be able to move the needle in the way in which it needs to be done. So I'll give an example. Another example is legal nurse consulting, right? So legal nurse consulting, like if you like that, it can be millions of dollars that people are paying out, right? For these cases. And so just the other day, I helped one of my clients with that. I helped her and I said, this is what you should be charging. And she really is very niche. Okay. I want you to hear me, that when you're very niche and you have, like, for example, labor and delivery, very niche. Nephrology, very niche. Surgical, very niche. Those are the instances in which you can come out and you can make a lot of money every time you do it, if you have expertise in that area. Because all my ER nurses know for a doggone fact that I'm not a fan of surgical patients. I'm not a fan of renal patients. I'm definitely not a fan of you when you get ready to have somebody's children. Okay. So I just don't like those things. And because I don't like those things, what I know is that most nurses who, like, we are ER, like when we were in the ER, we like the traumas, right? We like the traumas. We like to go out and get the traumas. And so because of that, we don't like to hang out with, the people who are, the renal people. Like, it's just not something that we like to do. It just is what it is, right? And so we would rather the specialists come down there and take care of those issues. And so because of that, we're very clear on a couple of things that we just want to make sure that you are taken care of. And those people who have those specialties in those areas, then you can make a lot of money off of that. The total addressable market within healthcare is within the billions. Like, there's really not any level of service or anything that you can't do. Like, it's crazy the amount of money that you can make within healthcare. And so you have to understand, but you have to understand how to package it, how to move it, and how to make sure that they're thinking it. Now, one thing that you asked is, how do you shift your mindset? I think that before you asked how mindsets do nurses need to change to become a CEO? You have to have the CEO mindset for sure. And that CEO mindset, and a lot of people think, well, that's not a real big deal, and I just need to have to tactically or physically know how to do something. Well, nurses already know how to physically do the thing. I want you to be very clear on that. You already know how to do the thing. So if you already know how to do the thing, I want you to drop in the chat, I know how to do the thing. However, in order to shift, because one of the things that we think is that we're taking money out of somebody else's pocket. And people will say, well, the times are hard. There is the same amount of money that's circulating in this economy that was circulating in this economy before now. And the reality is that we're not taking anything out of anybody's pocket. We're giving them an outcome that they want, right? Because if I can sit at the front of the restaurant as opposed to sitting at the back of the restaurant, when the front of the restaurant has the better waitresses, the front of the restaurant has the better food, then obviously that's an outcome that I want, right? So why would I choose to do anything else? So that's the reason why you have to think outcomes and not tactical, like, things that you do. And that's the reason why, just think about it for a moment. We used to be get paid per fee for service, right? So some of you don't really know this because you're too young to know this, but it used to be fee for service, which meant that with every diagnostic thing that they did, so if they did a CT scan, you got paid a certain amount for that. If you did if you had a blood draw, then you would get paid a certain amount for that. If you did ultrasound, you would get paid a certain amount for that. Well, after a while, they were like, this is shenanigans, because what was happening was there was a whole bunch of things that were getting ordered, and those things were not producing the outcomes that they needed. And so now what they do is outcome based. So you get paid a certain amount, okay? And people who are in healthcare now know this. You get paid a certain amount. And with that certain amount, you get a number of days that you're in the hospital that you have to take care of the patient. And so there's so many things that you can do. So chronic disease coaching, right? So you can go into a healthcare, like an office, right? And help with their coaching. So I've got a client that's what she did. She went into the office, the physician office. Now you have to go into where you have to sell to rich people. Like, you got to sell to the people that can pay you, right? And so basically she went into the office. She took care of she educated the patients, but the office paid her, the physicians paid her. So that's what you have to do. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll come right back.
Stop renewing your license just to stay broke. Every renewal season, nurses pay fees, take classes, and check boxes, but never build wealth. That license you're renewing every 2 years, it's a gold mine if you stop using it the old way. At the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference, you'll learn how to leverage that same license to build your own business, to coach, to consult, and to create offers that bring freedom, not fatigue. And yes, you'll still earn CEUs. Comment conference below and we'll send you the details.
Because we want you to come to the conference. It is going to happen. It's going to be a happening. We're going to have an amazing time. You don't want to miss this. Okay, so now this is another problem. that's the reason why you need to be at the company. So corporate wellness, right? So for example, employees waste $600K to $1 million annually on sick time. So you want to make sure that these employees are not sick all the time, right? And so in order to ensure that you are helping them with that, you can create these whole, like if I went to my hospital and they had like some wellness days that I could take off and go to these wellness days, I wouldn't spend so much time as, well, I ain't spending all the time in sick time either. I mean, we have PTO, which is, paid time off, right? And so with the paid time off, like I would, I would take my paid time off, but I wouldn't take it as sick days. Typically, I was just not a sick person. But if they had them wellness, child, listen, it would be a whole different game. Like we have a client that came to us and she actually had and this is the reason why niching down is very important too. So she had a home health agency. And so with her home health agency, she had the disabled children who had kind of aged out of the system, right? Because they were now 18 and over. And so what she did was she helped them with their home health care needs, because they had continued home health care. Just because they're not a child anymore, if they're disabled or if they have those disabilities, it doesn't mean that they stop, right? And so you have to ensure that you're doing that, you're helping them with that. And there's so much, like there's so many areas in which you can grow your business, okay? So this is mistake number 4, pricing like an employee. You charge like you what feels safe but keeps you stuck, right? So this is the deal. I want you to be very, very clear about this, okay? When you are offering a solution to a person, then you need to charge like you're offering the solution to the person. And stop backing down and stop saying, well, I don't think that maybe they don't have enough money. I can't tell you the number of calls that I have been on, the number of places that I have been, and I thought that the people didn't, because rich people, they don't want to look like they rich, most of them anyway, right? They want to look like they ain't got no money, right? So that you won't ask them for no money, all right? And so then that's the reason why you can't be counting people's pockets. Stop it. Stop counting people's pockets. Stop it right now, okay? I want you to put, I will stop counting people's pockets in the chat right now, okay? Because it does not make any sense for you to be able to do that, all right? Now, no client pipeline, right? Hope is not a business strategy. So you have to have a consistent method of generating clients all the time. And that's one of the things that we teach you in BP Nursing. Consistent way of generating clients. It's important that you have that consistent method, right? Because if you don't, now whether it is, so there's 3 ways to do your marketing, right? So the first way that you can market is just through organic. So it's kind of what we're doing right here today is our organic marketing, right? But then there's borrowed traffic. So Laura and I, we are on Sundays, we do a live with Dr. Nicole and Nurse Nina, who is amazing. They're both amazing women, okay? So I do a live with them. So I'm borrowing their traffic in order to be able to promote my product. They're borrowing my traffic in order to be able to promote their products, right? So that's borrowed traffic, right? So that's the second way. And the third way is through paid traffic, and that's through ads. And so we run Facebook ads as well. And so Facebook ads will get you a lot further, and you can do Google ads as well. There's LinkedIn ads. I've heard that there's a little bit higher cost per lead. And so let me explain what a lead is, okay? So a lead eventually becomes a client. So for example, if someone sees you, they're like, I'm interested in what they got. Then they click on the link, and then they put in their name, their phone number, and their email address. Then they become now a lead, but they're not necessarily paying you at this point, but they're in your system so that you can nurture them. So you need to be able to nurture them along the way. So what you do is you then send them periodic emails. Now, we used to send an email every day. We don't necessarily do that anymore, right? But you send them periodic emails. You also send them ways in which you can, like what we're doing now, like you're giving value to them, right? Giving value to them so that they can have the value to move. And a lot of people say, well, don't give too much value. But the reality is that most people won't move with the value that you give them anyway. They need accountability, right? And so you need to have that accountability. Now, simple client systems. So a lot of people have these complex systems, and it's okay if you do as you go advance, right? But the reality is that you really, really want to have one simple client system where you have one message, one offer, and one call to action. And that is huge, huge, huge. I want you to drop in the chat, call to action, okay? Throughout this whole entire process, I've asked you to come to the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference. Okay, I will have the link to the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference in the chat. Right, for those of you who are on TikTok, we'll send you the link over. Okay, this is the deal. Every single way I'm asking you to come to the conference, a call to action. People will get on, they will deliver their value, and then they won't say what to do after then. And then people don't know what to do. And then they go pay somebody else who is not ethical as they are. And then what happens is then they don't get the money, the person don't get their problem solved, and then they're stuck, right? And so you have to be intentional about marketing, especially if you believe in your services and especially if you are ethical, right? Because it is what it is. I don't care what industry you're going to be in. There's going to be some people who are going to be unethical. And so you want to be the person that's out there marketing your services because you are ethical. Okay. That's the reason why you need the conference, because we tie in exactly how to enroll clients consistently. Stop guessing and start getting paid, because at the end of the day, you want to get paid for your services. Okay. Now, mentally clocking in, waiting for permission. People be tripping me out. I didn't wait for permission tonight to get on this live. I didn't wait for permission. I don't really, at the end of the day, if I got 2 people on or if I got 10 people on, the value that I am delivering to the client, no matter what, makes a difference, right? So you need to you're always afraid to charge, afraid to be seen. Like what? You're beautiful, right? That like you are absolutely beautiful. So understand that you need to be seen. You need to put yourself out there so that you can be seen, so that you can get what you need in order for you to be paid and for you to create that impact. One of the reasons why I literally, and there are sometimes that I get tearful about this, because I really do care about nurses. I really do. Because let me tell you something, after you start making a certain amount of money, I'm going to be very clear about this. Sometimes it gets difficult, because the more money you make, the more people you have to hire, the more you have to ensure that you're dealing with certain things. And then you have to have people at your top. Okay, you have to have people that's your COOs that know what they're doing, that can take the load off of you. That's the reason why that was, I heard Sue Dennis, I have to give it to her. She was talking to me. She was talking about who to hire first, because a lot of times you hire a virtual assistant first, and that was what I did. But she said hire high first, which means that hire your COO. At that time, I didn't have the bandwidth and didn't have the money to necessarily hire a COO at that time, Chief Operating Officer. But as we grew, I was able to hire a Chief Operating Officer, so that I was able to ensure that I didn't always have to be in the business of the business. She could run she could run the meetings, she can run the business. And we can make sure that it runs without me, because like I was out of pocket for the whole month of January, pretty much, right? So like we went to Accra, Ghana. I spoke in Ghana, and then we went to, where did we go? Atlanta. We came back from Atlanta. Like we were gone for like 20 days. And so I can't always be here, right? In order to be able to ensure that the company is running well. And so then once we came back, then we went on a cruise. And of course you're out of pocket then, and so you have to make sure that you have someone there that can move the business. As you grow, though, you're going to make money. And when you make that money, it has to make sense for you to keep going. And when you have a passion for the thing that you have a passion for, then you can continue to grow. I can promise you. Because if you don't have a passion for it, you won't continue to grow. I'm okay. I love this. I love what I do here. Now, there are certain things I don't like. I don't like setting up systems. I don't like that. Just, people will ask me, can you pull this? No, I'm not doing that. Okay. I don't like it. Right. And because there's certain things that I don't like, I hire people to do the things that I don't like. And I also hire people that are smarter than I am. Okay. And some of y'all are tired. You're tired because you're not hiring people that are smarter than you are. Okay. So income follows ownership. You are not charging for time. You are charging for what you save, solve, or prevent. Okay. So that's the reason why the conference is important, because sometimes we think that the nursing license has a limit, but it is such an asset for you. It is such an asset. I want you to drop asset in the chat. Okay. Because if you want a business that actually makes money, I want you to join us for the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference. It's coming up February 20th through the 21st. 2026 in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I look forward to seeing you there. You ladies and gentlemen, have an amazing rest of your night. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.